So here's our two little chicks. The yellow one was hatched about a day and a half ago. And the stripy one, it looks like it's going to be a chipmunk type one. That one hatched last night, like early this morning. So it is only 12 or so hours old, and it's starting to get fluffy. The one born earlier is starting to chase the other one around, so they're getting good exercise. I am starting to make a little pen for them. So here we are. There's only 2 chicks, and this is an indoor pen, and I laid down a drop cloth, so a couple layers of plastic down on the ground, and it's on a concrete floor. We have a heat lamp tied with twine on a board. And I have bricks holding this corrugated cardboard that was in a roll, and I have it making not a square pen but more of an oval kind of round pen where the chicks can go by the heat under the lamp but also get away from the heat. If you put them in a Rubbermaid tub or something like that, there's nowhere for them to go, and the sides are so high and they can easily get too hot, and that I think would cause a lot of mortality. I've seen that done, and I prefer this method, that they have a big enough space that they can have their warmth but they can also get away. I have a thermometer, and hopefully it works good. It's saying that it is about 18 degrees Celsius, so what, 58 Fahrenheit or so. So I'm going to put that underneath the heat lamp and see what we're at. I need to get food and water and something on the floor for these guys, and usually we use straw. And I've also observed our mama hens, they will take the chicks out on grass all the time. I thought maybe I'll pick some grass and throw it down. So I'm not sure yet what the bedding is going to be, but it'll be a bit of a texture that gives them a bit of grip, and I guess the straw gives absorption, so we'll probably lean towards doing straw. We have friends here. Okay. So this is a chicken watering tray. This is a little one if you have a few chicks versus having quite a few chicks, because the bottle for it is maybe a liter versus a 4-liter one, other ones that like I have. And so I filled this with cool water, because cool is good, because if a chick walks through the tray, it gets that cold shock and it leaves, rather than it's nice and warm and it lays down and drowns. So that's the idea behind that. It has a small hole here, and otherwise it's sealed. And so what happens is when the bottle is installed and it's turned the way it's supposed to, and I'll show you, the water will come out of this hole and it'll fill this tray to a certain height according to how high this hole is. Once it reaches the top of that hole, the water at the water level of the top of it, it becomes airlocked and it stops flowing out, which keeps the tray from overflowing. So if this tray has a hole in it, or if there's another hole in here, or if there was a hole in the bottle, or if this was tipped sideways, the water would keep going because it never gets stopped because of that airlock. And like, so you always have to watch, like even if it's like this way, if this is too high and it never gets stopped off, it will keep flowing. So if you ever have leaking problems with your waters, check that this is level and that there's no holes in anything. So I will show you how to install it. We just put the tray on top of the water bottle and spin it. There's some rings like a jar, and tip it over, and you can see it's coming out. And I'll fill that tray. And you know what, if this is lower on the side that the hole is, actually that's not too bad, because then it as long as that gets covered up, the water will stop. So we see it's already stopped, and it's only halfway up this red tray, and so that'll be perfect for our little chicks, and they will learn how to drink out of there. So this is 20% poultry starter, and 20% should be protein. And so this is my little feeder. I have a jar, a container, it's plastic, and I'll fill that up with the feed. And then I have this little antique tray. It's made out of galvanized, it's metal. And so the bottle gets filled, and then it gets put in here, which is a little bit more complicated than what I just showed, because if I do that, I'd have food all over the place. But anyway, so the idea is then the food will dispense down, it'll fill the tray, and as the chicks eat in these stations, then the bottle will empty, and then when it's time to refill, then I just refill the bottle, and they can keep eating out of the tray. So that's the idea of this, and they work quite well. The only trouble is getting it on without dumping all your feed. So quite often, especially on the first one, I will have the bottle filled, and then I will put this on, and it's a screw top, and it's hard one-handed, but you screw top, you know, it on, and then you can turn it over. Here, let me show you. So we'll screw top this on. So it's installed. Looks like I have it crooked. Sometimes they go on crooked, and I'll fix it, but always make sure that that's level. And then I can flip it over quickly, and then the feed will fall down into the tray. So that was my demonstration, and I will do it, and you'll see this all filled up here. We still have some friends here. Okay, so here's the feed, and it's crumbly. There's a little bit of dusty. There's little pieces of pellet, and there's little bits of grain. So that's their complete feed. And so I have the jar filled up, and I am going to put the dispenser on and spin it, and just hand tight. If you go too far past, it will it's not that it can tighten past a certain point, then it just retightens, it kind of slips. But anyway, so I'm gonna flip this over, and you can see now it's filled, and the bottle, instead of being full because of how much capacity is in the tray, you can see that it's a little bit emptier in the top. So that is my little feeder, and this is perfect for my little day-old chicks. Everything's all clean and washed and prepared for these guys. You don't want to contaminate from a last batch to a new batch, so everything needs to be clean. That is ready for the chicks little brooder. So I've given this a little bit of time to tell us what the temperature is. And so the thermometer says must be 101, 2.5. So right under the heat lamp is just over 100 degrees. So I will probably lift this a little bit. But the other thing is, if it's nice and warm where the chicks can go, they can choose to go here or over here, depending on what their heat requirement is. So I will put some flooring down for them and we will move chicks in. Okay, the thermometer right now is saying exactly 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's the temperature we want for these young chicks. I found some clean, dry hay. So I'm going to sprinkle that around. Not sure if I need all of this. But it'll give the chicks something to stand on and rummage around on. And give them some grip for their footing. Looks like we don't need all of this. Found a thistle. Okay, so just kind of fluff it, move it, spread it. I'm gonna get in there and I'm gonna fix it so there's not little gaps to hide under. Okay, so I have spread and pressed down on all the hay, and I have a Rubbermaid lid that I would like to put the food and water on. So I'm just fixing these here. And so again, it has to be level. I don't want it right under the heat lamp. I don't want it melting or heating up the water. Here's my water. And here's my food. And the heat lamp. I'll put the thermometer back. And I'm going to lift the, well, I'm going to see what the chicks do before I lift the lamp. Okay, I've just unplugged the incubator. My thermometer says 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's what it's been maintaining the whole time. But they're ready to come out. So, here we go. I'm going to take the lid. You're like, oh, different temperature. So here's the chicks. My son's here. He's going to take the chipmunk chick. So you can see they've pooped inside here. Just catch it. And just cup it. And so we're going to move it all the way over to here. But the first thing we're going to do is show it the water. And we're just going to dip its beak. Oh, if we can find its head. See if it'll. There. There you go. should find that. So we've set them by the water, and the food's right nearby. And let's see what they do.
That's not where the water is, guys.
That's your, there you go.
Getting closer.
That one was going for it. Okay, leave your toes alone. Seriously.
Pecking its thumb.
Sometimes we put a pebble, like a, not a pebble, but like a gravel, a couple gravels into the water tray. Gives them something to peck at. You guys hear that? That was your dad. So these are hatched out of our own flock. We have a rooster, and he's really fuzzy and fluffy. And we have some hens. And that's where we collected the eggs. So Quinn's gonna put some rocks in the water. Like, ooh, warm. Thanks for your help, Quinn. I'm going to move the water closer so they find it. They'll probably be hanging out more around the heat lamp, and closer accessibility for their food and water might be what they need. So a mama hen will peck, and they will usually come and then she'll quite often offer her beak. So it's drinking water off my finger. Come on, babies. They're like, we don't want you. Come on, babies. There you go. Come in the tray. There you go. You just have to find it. Too busy. It's nice that there's at least two, because they look like they're learning from each other. They haven't found the water or the food yet. But I got the yellow one to drink water off my finger like a hen does her beak. Brian's teaching him where the food is. There we go. Ooh, this stuff's good. There you go, baby. Oh, good stuff.
Foot bath is. It's almost too big. The chick crumble.
You drink?
Yeah.
That other one should be on this side by your hand. Like, it's young though, like it's still got 2 days before it needs to drink, really, because it's so young.
Just wants to leave.
Yeah.
I want to see how much I weigh. Is this a scale? The dark one has a bit bigger of a beak than the yellow one. They'll figure it out. Plus there's seeds. This is hay that we gave them for their bedding, I guess. And it's full of seeds and leaves. Chickens in real life eat lots of grass and bugs and things, and so anything they can find on this grass is awesome for them also. So they have access to that, and the chick starter, and the water, heat, and a safe place. Who's chirping? And they look pretty comfortable for their temperature. If they were too hot, they would be hanging out way on the very, very edges and staying there. They're very active, and that's exactly what we want. Temperature is, looks like it's right around 100 still. So, good. We'll check back in with them later. So this is our incubator. The lid is off. Here's the egg
that hatched last, our little chipmunk chick. And you can see a few pieces of eggshell, water in the trays, my thermometer. It's an electronic one, so I was able to not have to open anything to know what the temperature was inside. And they've pooped a few spots, and so this all has to get cleaned up. And these red lines are not blood, they are just marker. And that just marks where you're supposed to put water at certain times, because each channel, this one, just goes there, and then this one here, where are we? Here, goes all the way around. So there's 2 trays of water, so most of the incubation there's only 1 tray filled, and then at the end at the hatch both trays are filled. So here's that 1 egg. Here's the first egg, and they hatched a little over a day apart, but pretty close. And usually we would have a whole bunch of eggs in here, not just 2, but because mama hen is hatching eggs at a different time, we wanted these guys to still have a chance to hatch, and then they'll get to join their new brothers and sisters when they hatch, and they'll get raised by mama hen. The yellow one was the first to hatch, and the chipmunk one was second.